I'm going to walk you through 5 pieces of advice that I've personally heard, and that advice has actually wormed its way into my inner voice, the way I talk to myself, and it's quite honestly not in a good way. The first one is, who is talking is more important than what they're saying. If we strip away every layer of ego, every bias, insecurity that we have, and kind of look at this situation as, what does this advice even mean? When people are saying who is giving the advice matters more than what the advice is, it seems pretty simple, right? It's like, has this person experienced this before? Has this person been through a situation before? Do they even know what it's like to even talk about something? And that comes down to credibility. Now, the twisted part about this is it doesn't apply in every single sense. For example, if you think about job listings, they usually mention something like, you need to have X years of experience doing Y, and that is the only way you're qualified for this job. And most people, what they do is we look at this job description and we think, well, I'm not really qualified for this because I don't really have these many years of experience. And then we just reject ourselves. The problem here is there's something specific that happens when we go through situations like this, which is like, you need to have done X before you can talk about Y. It becomes a chicken and the egg problem, because without the experience, how am I supposed to get the experience? But in order to get the experience, I need to get this job. So how exactly am I supposed to get out of this loop? So I have been posting online for the last 5 years. And in my mind, I always told myself, like, I want to talk about things I'm building in public, or I want to talk about things I'm learning in public. Whether or not I'm a scholar at it, I still want to talk about it because that's the only way I can learn. If I make mistakes, someone's going to laugh at me, someone's going to tell me you're super dumb, and then that's data and I can learn from that data. I think more often than not, recently, I've heard this advice so much that you don't have authority in X, so you can't talk about Y. But the only way to get authority in X is to do something about it. The way to get experience is to apply for a job, do the role, and you can essentially tell the world that, hey, I've been in this role and I've done this job. No one even knows if you actually did those tasks, but it just gives you the credibility because you've worked at X company and you've had the Y title. I don't know how I feel about that. You can also take a freelancing client, have one client and do an amazing job and have them say great things about you. Maybe you get 5 clients and you have them say amazing things about you. Or you take a course, you get a degree. All of these things are about external views. Like, what are people going to think? How do I prove that I can do X? I recently watched someone ask an entrepreneur that I really admire, hey, I also do content like you, but unfortunately, I am not growing as fast as you are. So what can I do about it? I thought this was very humble for this person to even ask this question in the first place, to drop their ego. But the entrepreneur basically said that, hey, I have done these things so I can talk about it. Now you want to talk about it before you've done these things. That has 2 very different lenses. Obviously, I think this advice has been told so many times because it kind of even makes sense if you really sit and think about it. Obviously, you have to do something and then talk about it, because then you have credibility because you've done the thing. But in my book, in my rule book, I kind of view it as, do cool shit, talk about it while doing the cool shit. Because I think more often than not, when you have lived experiences, it's kind of like you're out of the game, right? You're out of the situation. So yes, it's resonating. Yes, I can see myself in you, but I just have to imagine I can see myself in this person. I can relate, sort of, but I'm in this position right now. They were in this position. To me, it's like if someone's watching and they're watching me do something, I want them to feel like I am exactly in this position and I can see that she's doing the same thing that I'm trying to do. That gives a lot more personal touch with the audience, and honestly, don't even want to call it audience, to meet people. I kind of think about these Instagram coaches on Instagram. They talk about, hey, I'm going to help you grow on Instagram. But then when they start out, they don't have followers. If it's a brand new account, they don't have followers as well. But they have to talk about how to grow on Instagram in order to grow their Instagram. And do you see the chicken and egg problem? This is basically everywhere. If you want to get a job, you need to have experience. You need experience, you need to get a job. The chicken and the egg problem is predominant. When I started building the platform that I'm building, I thought it was only a problem for me. I need users to be on the platform so I can get more users. But in order to get more users, I need these users to be here. So it's a chicken and egg problem everywhere. Life is about chicken and egg problem. The only way to solve it is to talk about what you're building, to get more eyeballs on whatever it is you're trying to learn or build. The way that I got out of this is the way I get out of most things, which is psychology. I kind of dive deep into psychology and ask myself questions like, all right, so this is a mental problem. This is a mind issue. You can get out of this. And to me, it was like I needed permission for someone to say, hey, it's okay if you don't know shit. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. They're just talking about it. They're just winging it. And they're putting in the effort. That's the only thing that you can do, which is put in the effort. The second advice is pick a lane or people won't like you. People don't like you regardless of what you do. People like you regardless of what you do. Both are true at the same time. I'm not going to gloss over the fact that you genuinely need people to like you in order to work with you, in order to hire you, in order to follow you. I totally understand that. But I also think there are a billion people in this world that you don't actually, like, if you really realistically think about it, in the first year of you doing anything, it could be your job, it could be your internship, it could be your project, it could be the first semester, the first couple of weeks of your first semester, it could be anything new. And it's not going to be like 10,000 people like you immediately, unless you're like doing something very specific and very special. I think for most people, it is like the first few years are you trying to figure yourself out before anyone even understands what you're doing. So this advice of pick a lane or people won't understand what it is you do has been something that is, I've heard that a lot of times, both personally and online. And I just feel like it locks you into something that you may or may not like. And sometimes that is cool, sometimes that is not. You can decide that you want to be an astronaut and then work your whole life to be an astronaut and end up being an astronaut. That's cool. But you can also think about, I want to be a dancer, but I also want to know, how to code a software, or also want to know how to vibe code. I also want to have great friends. I also want to have this and that. I think it's all doable. It's just that you need to give yourself a time period of, it's kind of like A/B testing. I want to do X, Y, and Z for so long. And once I have sort of explored a little bit into all of that, I want to see which one pulls me the most and then go in that direction. I still don't believe in specialists. I always believe in being a generalist because it always gives you, this breadth and this wide options that you can always choose from. And it's also easy if you were to ever hire someone because you know your shit. I think this advice is going to be more prominent over the next couple of years because people are going to say, like, you need to specialize in one thing, otherwise AI is going to take your job. I actually think it's the opposite because AI will only take your job if you can do one thing. And if it's like the same thing over and over again, that can be automated. So I think the best choice in the world of AI, I hate saying that sentence, but in the world of AI, the best option is to actually be a generalist, to know multiple different things, because AI can do one thing over and over again. But if you can do more than just one thing, it's harder for companies to sort of like reason not having you in the company, because this person can talk to finance, they can talk to marketing, they can talk to the software developers. They also are great at communicating with the AI systems we have. They know the culture. These are things that can't be replaced if you are good at all of them. The third one, go to college or you're doomed. And in the same breath, don't go to college, use the time to work instead. Genuinely unhinge that both of these get said with equal confidence. The only answer to this question, I've seen this online, like, do I even have to go to college anymore? Because a lot of companies don't require degrees anymore. Do I just like take courses, and would that be helpful? Because there are a lot of people that have master's degree and are still not able to get a job. So am I just kidding myself into thinking that this would be fine? The honest answer is really just look at the real life in front of you. A lot of people online will be giving advice saying, do this, that is the future, do that, that is the future. But I think only you know what the variables are in front of you. Only you know how much money you have. If you want to pay that towards tuition and you honestly think that you'll get an amazing experience out of it, or I could take half that amount and pay some really good vice president of a company or someone that's just like starting a startup and be like, I want to go all in on all of this with you to learn whatever it is you want me to learn. Because I think some people do require practical hands-on experience to learn. Some people are great at just being student and then getting the practical hands-on experience. I just don't think there's one size fits all answer. I think there was this debate going on recently where Nicole Kamath was basically saying whoever goes to college is dumb. And then there was another person, I think her name is Anis Patel. I'm not really sure what her name is. And there was this other girl who basically argued saying, not all of us want to not go to college. Some of us like the experience. That's what I'm saying. You can watch this debate and waste your time thinking about which side you're going to pick, or you can actually think about the various variables in front of you and think about what actually suits you best. From my own experience, when I was an undergrad, I felt like it was such a waste of time, and my master's was incredible. But here's the thing, right? When I actually started building the platform that I just built, I started vibe coding and then it broke. And then I had to kind of switch completely over to sort of like build from the scratch. The only way I was able to do that was because of my undergrad degree, the one that I thought was an absolute waste of time, because I had the foundational knowledge to know what a class was or what React was or what JavaScript was. The only reason I was able to understand that was because I had the foundation. But also, I'm not really soldering anything day to day, so both things are true. The advice fails the moment it tries to be universal. Any advice that tries to be universal will eventually fail because your education problem is a math problem with variables only you have. The fourth one, just do more, play the volume game. I love this one and I stand by it 100%. Except if you just lost someone and you have no money and you have student debt, if you have no food, no career, no friends, you've literally lost everything, and you literally feel like your entire life is genuinely falling apart, I just don't think volume can be hit at that point. And that doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that because you're weak or, that you're fragile, that you can't even get yourself to motivate yourself. I just think your brain doesn't have enough data to believe that whatever it is that you want to do, you'll be able to do it. Your brain just does not believe. And if you think about it, it's seen you try before, right? You've lost friends, you've lost family, you've lost money, you've lost your career, you've lost your sense of self. There's no data that your brain can come up with that says, just do this and we'll succeed. Because to you, the goal is always the end goal. I want to be this in that company. I want to land a job. I want to work for a company like this. But I think it's not convinced this time. So what do you do when volume is out of reach? When you feel like you literally cannot do that, you play the game with your mind, which is what I've been doing the last couple of months. You go ahead and tell your brain, okay, I hear you. I'm overwhelmed and I want out. I cannot do what it takes to get you out yet, but I can stop waking up immediately and scroll. I can get up, brush my teeth, and go for a walk. And when you actually end up doing that, you can tell your brain like, hey, brain, see, we actually did that. And I don't think a lot of people would be able to relate to this. Only people that have actually been through this where they feel like, what's the point of even waking up? I can just keep sleeping. I'm not going to get anything done today, so what's the point of waking up? I can sleep the entire day. As long as I'm able to sleep, I want to sleep. The problem there is you're giving your brain more information that whatever it tries to do, it wouldn't succeed in that. The only way to beat that is to be like, hey, you know what? I actually think I'll be able to get up tomorrow in the morning. Let me see if I can do that. And then actually doing that, because then your brain has data that, wait, she actually tried to do something and she was able to do it. Are we getting back on track? On day 2, it could be something like, I don't think I have what it takes to sort of like send one message to someone because I feel really overwhelmed, but I'm going to try to send just one message tomorrow. And then you wake up and you actually end up sending one message to someone. Your brain is immediately convinced like, wait, that's the second thing she's done. Like she said she's going to do something and she's doing it. Again, you're training your brain, you're tricking your brain into thinking that you are going to stack wins. And I understand that sounds insultingly small when the goal is to get back to focusing on the biggest goal, which is I need to work with X, I need to be in this role, I need to be able to tell people that I do X, Y, and Z. I know it's very insulting to hear advice like this. The way that I brainwashed myself is to really just be like, if I were to infiltrate an army in a battlefield, the only way that I'll be able to achieve what I want is to first take the first few, a couple of weeks, couple months, to actually do the groundwork and learn about the team, learn about the people, get to know all of their secrets and have them trust me, earn that trust, and then do whatever it is I want to do. I think that is just how you have to play this game. Fifth one is just put yourself out there and network. It sounds so simple. And maybe it is, if you're already someone, if you already have connections, if you already know someone, if you already feel like you know what you want to do or who you are, if you have like a lot of clarity. I don't want to insult anybody, but I think it's a little bit more easier in that place. But, I went to a big summit recently, thousands of people, names, you would recognize, the kind of event where like celebrities were there. And, I came back with absolutely a lot of meaningful stuff in my head and a lot of realization. But I also felt like I didn't really connect with anybody there. Except maybe like 1 or 2 people. I don't think I felt like I connected a lot with a lot of people there. And I also think it has a lot to do with social currency. Like in networking events like this, it's also about what can I offer And then when you are battling with your entire mind to be like, I want to do X, I want to do Y, when your brain has this own identity, like it has an identity of its own, it's assuming that this is who you are. And then you talk to so many different people. It's not like people are just one narrow. It's not like it's a social media marketers event. It's an event where creators are there. These are creators that are lifestyle creators. Some of them are B2B marketing. Some of them are like YouTubers. So for each of those people, the value prop is different. So you would have to present, what is the social currency that you have? What can you do for them? Because if not for that, a lot of people are not willing to build relationships. And I think that's totally fine. But I think when people are in that situation, they'll never say, don't go to these events, because I think, again, growth only lies on the other side of change. And you have to put yourself in situations where you feel incredibly uncomfortable, because then you'll get data as to what you don't know and how you have to upskill. One of the things that I learned when I went to this event was I met a lot of different people, and I didn't actually really know what value to offer to so many of them. So I started thinking about that. Okay, if I were to work with this person, what exactly would I need to have in order to work with them? And then I started thinking about, do I even want to work with them? If I have to offer that, am I ready to offer that? Does that align with where I want to go? Do I even know where I want to go? These are the questions that you don't really think about unless you go to an event like this and feel like a complete outsider. About a lot of advice, it's that it's very basic. It tells you just go out there and network, and you don't know what you're supposed to do because your immediate reaction is, I don't have anything to offer. But the truth is, it's not about what you have to offer. The truth is, it's about what you can learn about yourself. It's the mental reframe. Any advice that you hear, always think about, how can I apply this to my situation? Not, oh, this does not apply to me because I can't do exactly what the advice is saying. I think the damage isn't the advice itself. I think it's that people internalize it as a verdict on themselves rather than a data point from someone else's context. Most people only talk from their experience, and you can't see what is going on behind their head. So you assume that they're talking to you, but 9 out of 10 times they're only talking to their younger self, and their younger self had a very different upbringing, different situation than you did, even if you have some similarities with them. So next time you hear advice, just ask yourself, how can I customize or personalize this for where I'm in life right now? If it doesn't apply, don't force yourself. Sometimes it's great advice, just not applicable to you.